Welcome to the STSinks support webinar. This is the first in a series of webinars we'll be conducting to try to clarify some of the technical elements that align with our DTF modular systems, ancillary equipment, and hardware-software integration. These webinars will also be available in recorded versions on our YouTube channel and on our website. It's a pleasure to have everyone here today. My name is Kurt Fisher. I'm the Vice President of Global Operations for STSinks, and we're just going to go over a few topics that can save you from getting big headaches later on. The first topic I want to talk about is how to avoid head strikes. It seems that the simple things are the most important things when it comes to avoiding head strikes. Let's just go over a few of those. When you get your printer, there's going to be media clamps taped into the middle of the platen. So primarily you'll take the tape off, you'll spread the media clamps out, and now you're ready to do the loading of the film. When you load your film, you want to make sure of a couple of things. The first thing is when you take your spool, you also want to make sure that your spool is tight. The media is sitting tightly on the spool. There's no gaps on either side. Primarily, you also want to make sure that that spool is further to the left, as far left as you possibly can go, so that you don't have to worry about skewing later on while you're printing. Then, once you load that media, and it follows through, now again, I want it top loaded, not bottom loaded. So the film is going to go over the top and through onto the platen and lay perfectly through here. Now, once I do that, I set my media clamps to lock that media in. Then I'm ready to go. That's the first thing. The second thing I want to do is I want to make sure that the platen vacuum, which we have here on the platen surface, is always in the on position. I want to make sure that it's on high as well. So that platen vacuum sucks down the film, make sure that it doesn't bow while printing. So it's very important. I know a lot of folks don't even realize there is a platen vacuum, but we have one on here. You've got to use it. Let me show you how to configure that, integrating our MSM and our RIP software. Primarily, I'm going to share the screen, and we're going to see that the vacuum fan, you're going to set it to high. And then we're going to apply that. Now let's go to the MSM. MSM, you find your vacuum fan mode at the bottom, set it to standard, and then you're going to update that. It's very important to always have that in position. Also, you want to make sure when you're handling the media that you're handling it when the printer is not printing. It seems logical that that would be the case, but a lot of people are yanking and pulling on the media to do a couple of things. They want to maybe scissor cut. Oh, I've got my transfers ready to go. Let me just cut that out. I want to see what they look like while the printer's printing. That's very dangerous to do. We'd rather you not do that. Also, you want to make sure that when you do media cut, you use the media cut setup in the printer itself. No need to use a scissor cut. I also think it's very important to, when you try to look at the film while it's printing, a lot of folks want to see that transfer, the color, want to see if there's any banding or anything like that. A lot of folks, while it's printing, are pulling the media out to see the colored side. Please don't do that. That is the most dangerous thing you can do, because what's going to happen is, of course, you're going to start bowing this up while the printer's printing. And then when that print head impacts the PET coating on that film, you're going to have a problem. It is the most dangerous thing that we can address at this point in time. That's why I started it as my first topic. So again, if you want to look at the printed surface area of the film, just take a lighted, your flashlight on your phone or something like that, go behind the printer and look at it that way. Don't handle while the printer's printing. That is the essence of this whole conversation here. Do not handle the media while the printer's printing. Okay? One other important element. when you put new media on, when you're ready to install a new roll, which is going to go like that, when you're ready to install your new roll, make sure you set your MSM to know the media length. It's very important that you use your media length setting on the setup. And media length, when we share that screen, I want to show you how that's going to look. You go to your Advanced tab from Remote Panel, go to your Advanced tab, and then you'll go and see that'll say media length. Primarily, this is what we want to, let's get that screen up now, and I'll show you what that looks like. There's your advanced setting, and you can see your roll length. So you have roll 1, and then put that media in there, that length in there. Give yourself some leeway. We usually put for a 100-meter roll, we're putting 95 meters or 92 meters, something like that. So you have some leeway, because what could happen is if you don't do that, you could run out of media and your printer will still be printing on metal after that. So again, very important, set your roll length every time. And your MSM, you've got to use your MSM. Your Muto status monitor is your helper. It's going to allow you to see if you have enough media for your print job before you start printing. It's going to allow you to know a current snapshot of your current printer configurations and your current printer setup on this beautiful dashboard. So use your MSM. It's very important to do that. Now, also, I want to talk about shakers. Shakers are used, a lot of automatic shakers, power shakers. We have our shaker right here. This is an automatic setting shaker. So we have 2 settings on our shaker that you can see to the right of me right here. Automatic and manual. If you're using it automatic, you're fine. You can not have to monitor that shaker while it's in operation, because I do have sensors on the bottom. And when the sensors notice that film about 9 inches off the floor, you'll see that loop, as you're probably familiar with by now. The sensor will read that film, and then start pulling it through the system with the speed of the printer. So the printer speed and the shaker speed work hand in hand when it's on automatic. But when it's on manual, that's not the case. Manual shaker speed will pull continuously through the system. Be very careful to monitor when that's going on, because if you don't monitor that, you could walk back in and you could have that shaker pulling that media in a straight line. It could forget the loop. It's just going to pull it through. Especially, you can use the manual for a lot of different reasons. You want to get a print job through. You want to get some things done a little bit quicker. You want to add a little bit more temperature perhaps to that if it's going to be moving through the shaker heating chamber quicker. So all those things are all well and good, but you can't leave the room when you have it on manual. That's the key, because what's going to happen? You'll pull that media out all the way out as the shaker pulls it through, and then you run the risk of a number of head strikes, and that could damage your print head beyond repair. Okay, so those are the most important things, real simple things. I'm sure everyone knows about it, but I have to tell you that because it's really that important, because you're playing with $2,000 here. Why take the chance? So mitigate your risks, do the logical things, use your Muto status monitor, configure your equipment before you start, and you should be fine. The second topic that I want to go over is white ink maintenance. White ink maintenance, as I said, use your Muto status monitor. In the morning, before you start your print job, it's going to say shake 5 and 6. And they mean slot 5 and 6. So primarily, do it. And here's how to do it. When I shake slot 5 and 6 in the morning, I don't shake it like this. I don't shake it like this. I shake it like this. And I really shake it. And primarily, as I'm doing this, for about 1 minute and 30 seconds, and I'm squeezing the bag a little bit too to get that pigment load all mixed up into the fluid. I want to make sure that this is ready to go. So again, 1 minute and 30 seconds, slot 5, slot 6. This is what we call vigorously shaking. Okay? This is what we want to do. This is slot 5. And we do the exact same thing to slot 6. We have found through some testing and some customer feedback that it is preferential to shake at the end of the workday as well. Once you're finished with your workload, shake again. Shake in the morning before the workday starts, shake at the end of the workday, and your system should be running pretty smoothly. Now, STS has been working on a system that is an external system attached to the high capacity adapters that we're going to be delivering to customers probably this summer at some point. That's going to agitate your white ink automatically, so you won't have to worry about shaking all the time and doing those types of things. But let's not take the chance of not shaking, because once you do that, you run the risk of having a pigment load come through your system when you don't want it, and that's going to give you some nozzle dropouts and other things could happen as well. So just at this point in time, shake 5 and 6 in the morning, shake 5 and 6 at the end of the day. Okay. Another item too, when you're replacing your white ink, you have to change the gaskets. You just don't put a new bag in and swap it out. You want to clean the nozzle areas on the exterior of the high capacity adapters. You want to clean the interior of the high capacity adapters. Make sure that that is nice and tight when it's in there. When you're loading that ink into your high capacity adapters, make sure that clip locks. That little orange clip should snap. When you're putting that like that, if you heard that sound, when you're putting that cartridge in, if you look through, you can see that that orange slot locker is in position. It should be right on the top, forcing it down. If you don't, you're running the risk of not having the ink reach the printer system. And people are like, "Wow, I'm not getting any white." Well, you didn't load the bag correctly. So make sure, look through, make sure you see that lock in there, and you'll be fine. But of course, change your gaskets. Very important to do every time you swap out any of your inks, not just the white, but any of your inks. Another item, how do you want to store your inks when you get them? If you have a bunch of whites or even any other colors, you want to store them nipple up. And you want to store them in room temperature, office environment. I can't impress enough about how important the environment is when we use our equipment, our DTF equipment. Stored in a room temperature, fairly controlled humidity levels. I think this is going to be beneficial to a lot of people if they would just think about that firstly. Look at your environment, storing items, not sideways. I mean, if I'm storing my bags on the side, that doesn't work very well for long-term storage. So make sure, nipple up, store them that way, you'll be fine. The other items too, you really want to make sure that you do, is use your MSM. Make sure that your MSM, it's part of what you do as a professional. Your MSM is your helper. It's going to tell you these are the things you need to do. These are the things that you have to do to be successful when you're printing. Follow the environmental guides. Make sure you're maintaining your printer. You want to make sure that not only you're automatically cleaning your printer, you're also doing maintenance on your printer manually as well. And we're going to go through that kind of topic later on. At this point right now, though, I am going to turn the mic over to our DTF lead technician, Elliot Barros, and he's going to take you through another segment.
Hey guys, welcome to the webinar. This is Elliot with STSinks. I'm going to be covering some things here. We're going to start with MSA calibration. This is mostly going to be for, not the end users, but the distributors and any end user that is in chat. Of course, if your media calibration sensor has not been calibrated, well, you'll reach out to your local, dealer. Or send us in a ticket, and we'll of course get that calibrated for you. So let's check it out. Let me pull this up here. Okay, so this is MSA, and obviously, if you're end user, you probably know nothing about this, so you don't really have to pay attention to this. But any distributors, you want to make sure that the customer has their media sensor calibrated And now we have video footage of how to calibrate this, but I wanted to just make sure that, everybody is they have a calibrated media sensor, because it's part of the printer and we have to utilize it to make sure that we're not getting any head strikes or any of that. So just to showcase this here, I'm not going to go through the whole process. I'm just going to touch on it because I have a few other topics that I want to go over. But essentially, you would select the printer, you'd select the correct IP address, and then once you pull up this menu, you'd be going to board manager mode and then maintenance panel. And then from there is where you would calibrate the media sensor. Like I said, this is just a light touch up on this subject. If you do have any questions or concerns, we'll answer that towards the end of this in regards to this. But yeah, just showcasing that. I'm going to exit this here. So we have MSA here. I wanted to touch on MSM. So clean timer, we're going to leave that at 24 hours. That's here. And then this timer right here is when the printer goes to sleep. This is the interval at which it will do micro cleanings. So basically, you'll want to leave this either at 3 hours. You can move it to 6 hours if you want. I urge wet capping. Wet cap when you're done with the job, like Kurt was following up on, shake the whites. But I am going to go to that one more time. So hold on one second. So basically, when you're shaking the whites, you can shake it within the cartridge, but I do advise to take the cartridge out. You could remove the bag, okay? And you're going to want to get a really nice shake in there. You could, squeeze around the nozzle, squeeze on the sides of the bags. This is just to make sure any sediment that's kind of in there, or any dye, that's in there or gathering at the bottom. Because if the bag's sitting like this, when the contents separate, you're going to have the dye gathering at the bottom. And what you want to do is you just kind of want to break that up. You want to make sure that it's a nice, even shake. Squeeze the bag, get it all moved around. A really good shake will definitely help you out, or rather the longevity, of the system. So just get that in there, get a really nice shake, make sure everything's good. And then once you're done there and you shake it for a minute, you could do like 2 minutes. It's up to you really. But definitely shake it well. And then when you're in the morning, you shake it, and at night you shake it. Okay. So, well, at night is more so when you're done printing. And then, of course, follow the directions right on here. Okay. So let's see here. And then you place the bag in. You make sure that the orange, I'm not sure if you heard that snap, but basically when you hear that snap, it's perfect. So you put a little force, you make sure it's tight in there, and then you just put it back in. And you are good to go. Now, in the morning, when you're first waking up your printer, it will ask you to shake 5 and 6, of course. And then over here, let me pull it up on the screen for you. Okay, so right over here, it's basically, instead of start, it's going to say end. And so you'd wake up your printer right over here on MSM. All right, and then you would end it. It would go into its own little self-cleaning mode. And from there, it would say ready to print, and you're good to start your day. You shake the whites, you make sure that your media is all set properly. Always make sure, and let me go over this one more time. So Kurt touched on this, but I wanted to show you. So you could see that the media is flush with the spool. There's no gaps, no openings. You want to make sure that there is no gaps and openings so that there's no room for the paper to kind of skew to the side. This will prevent head strikes, of course. But not only that, it's just a safer work environment for you to work in. But you'll have the I can't really hear. Kurt, can you come here? Hold this for me. So there you go. Cool. So when you're feeding the paper, you want to make sure that this is taut right here. So if there's any slack like this and you're putting the paper in and you leave slack, it might be skewed. You don't want that. when you're feeding the paper, you know, it's nice and taut. And then you could adjust the media guards, you could close the clamp, and then it'll be perfectly straight. So you just kind of tug at it at the front over here. Thank you. So you just kind of like tug at it at the front over here when you're first placing it in to make sure that it's nice and tight and there's no slack on the back. All right, so I wanted to go over that with you guys. Now let's talk about the environment. Okay, and this goes for, he also touched on, you know, storing the whites or the inks and substrate and everything. Here, 1 second. All right, so, you know, temperature wise, we're trying to stay around 70 to 78 Fahrenheit with 35 to 45% humidity. Now we want to make sure that this, obviously, you know, during the night, some environments or warehouses or whatever. Sorry, and I meant to. So the ideal temperature would be 75 Fahrenheit. That's what you want to stay around. But anyway, so the 35 to 45 humidity. You know, after, you know, internal testing for a while, we fit. You know, it really works out for the TPU powder. For the white inks, for really everything. So it's an ideal environment. And once again, guys, any questions that you might have, feel free to throw them in chat, but we will answer that towards the end during our live Q&A, okay? Let me see here. Long storing. So let's say you guys are out of office for 3+ days or something, or you're going on vacation. We recommend to long store your machine. Now there's multiple ways of doing, you know, this, because the main purpose of this is to clear the white lines. So, you know, and we'll talk about this a little bit later as well. But essentially, if you're gone for more than 3 days and there's no activity to the printer, you don't want that, the white ink to separate in the lines. So that's why it's recommended. And we'll touch a little bit more on that a little bit later. Let me see here. I think we already went over this. You know, basically, this is a very good feature. So, you know, setting up under advanced settings to make sure that this right here is showing your current roll length, this really will prevent you from getting a head strike. When you put in a new roll, you would go to advanced settings, you would slap in a roll number, you would adjust the length. And so I usually do 95 meters, and then I do print stop on. Now, basically, if you open up your cogwheel and you pull the media, it will not recognize that you're pulling the media. So if you ever need to make an adjustment to your media, whether you're pulling some out or backing it up, you would do that right over here under printer control, under media feed. Okay. Now, obviously, you wouldn't want to do 39 inches, but you could change it to whatever you want, and you could do backward feed, forward feed. And this is a very useful feature because it will know what you're doing to the media. So if you're pushing it forward, then it's going to understand, okay, I know how much media I've used, and you're not going to overshoot it. You're always going to know how much media you have left. Whereas if you open up that cogwheel on the right side of your printer, it's not going to know what you did. It's not going to know how much media you pulled, you know, because you're opening the cogwheel, it no longer senses what's going on. So keep that in mind when adjusting your media. All right. We always use nozzle check B. And I believe that's all I wanted to cover there. 1 second. All right, guys. So I'm going to turn this over to Shahar Turjman, and he's going to take over from here.
Hello, everybody. Okay, so let's go to the MSM. Let me share my screen a second. Right there. I can share the windows. All right, let's go over here. All right, so we'll go a little bit more advanced setting to understand how does the cleaning process work. Okay, so basically, you have an option right over here that say auto cleaning. Auto cleaning is mean if it's on sleep mode or in standby mode. The machine's set up to run every 360 minutes, okay? That is 6 hours. Every 6 hours is going to do a normal clean. So basically, a short clean, it will consume, right here you can change the cleaning mode. So if you go to short clean, it will consume 3.8 to 4 milliliter for across the channel. If you do normal clean, the normal clean is about 8 to 9 milliliter, and then you have the long is about 11 milliliter, and the little charge, it's 18 milliliter. However, I always in our demo unit we use it in normal. So basically, every 6 hours it will consume about 8 milliliter to clean and flush the line. White maintenance need to be on normal. It really depends on the environment. You know, if you have a good environment that is between 70 to 75 Fahrenheit, you can move it to short, to set up as a short. So that will consume only 3 milliliter. And then you have another option right over here before printing. So usually before printing, we run the printer before printing. Is basically the printer will go to the cupping station, do a normal clean, and then start the print. And again, it's all about the environment. If you're printing in high environment, 76, 77, maybe the nozzle will be dry on the bottom, so you need to do a normal clean automatically before every print. But again, he will do it for every job. So if you're nesting a lot of jobs, it's worth it to do that as well. And then we have another option right over here is auto cleaning during the print. So I can set up the machine, and again, I repeat it multiple times, it depends on the environment. So if you see that that's every 1 hour or every 3 hours, you're missing nozzle doing the print, you can set it up, to example, every 120 minutes, okay, to example, do a normal clean. And then it will do the normal clean, and is going to print automatically. Basically, the printer will print automatically, and you can go, don't forget, every time you change over here something, you have to go and click update. Otherwise, the machine will not remember what is the setting. Another option to run the cleaning during the print, let's assume the printer is printing and you see some missing nozzle during the print, you always can go right over here, you open your job, okay, you can open any job, and during the print, you can just, right over here, you can go and short clean, normal clean, or little charge, and then start. It will do the trick to clean, to do the cleaning when it's printing. Because with the MSM, you cannot, with the MSM, you cannot touch the screen as it's printing. So during the print, it will not be in function, no communication. Is one communication will work, is basically cancel print. So you print over here, cancel print, and then it will work. I have a couple, some customer ask me during the weekend, some question when I loading a white file, how I can see what is printing. So on the Flexi, let me get the file that is solid white. Let me see if I have someone. Here we go. Give me 1 second, I will load a file. Okay, so I'm basically sharing my screen right now. So if I go to the beta mode, I can open any file. And when I open the file, I can look, if it's only white, you're not going to see that in the lay preview. So you can click over here in the top and you can see transparency preview, okay? Or you can go right over here to output channel, click on preview channel, and basically you can see the spot white. Okay, so you can see it's 100% spot white. If you cannot see the white, the black basically is printing the white. In case you don't see it, you always can go to transparency, and you have some option on the transparency, spot white, use transparency as a mask. Basically, if it's a PNG file, if it's you can try solid under. Basically, it will do solid under. Every pixelate, it will do solid under, or variable under if you have a gradient, or invert. If you set up the file, if your customer send you a file that's it's already with the spot color, you always can go to the spot color, okay, and change. It will pick up the spot color. Is another option you can go is you can see right over here. If you want to get more opacity, you always can go to white and white option. You can change the white and white option to undercolor or fill color or substrate, and you can do that to the 2-channel. And you also can run if it's not enough opacity, you always can go 2 times, 3 times, 4 times opacity, the print count. Obviously you will slow the printer down, but the quality will be, the opacity of the white will be much higher. Don't forget, when you do 2 times, remember if the setup is 75%, it will do 150% white. So you may want to shrink it a little bit lower than that. Okay, this is on the white option. Another question is, is basically how I can match my color. Is when you match in color, or where your customers send you a file, it's all about how you create the file. It's CMYK, RGB, what kind of setting your customers set it up. So basically, you can go to color management. Right over here, you can go to advanced. On the advanced, you can see this file specific one is RGB. But maybe the Photoshop or the CorelDRAW will set up as Adobe RGB 1998 or different RGB settings. So always, most of the time, Adobe RGB 1998 is come as a default. So I can set up as a default, and right over here, you can choose if it's a bitmap or vector. You have an option, to example, if you want to do saturation, chromatic. So those is all the option you can change on the color profile, or you don't match in color. Is another option is the option on version 22 SAI Flexi DTF Pro version 22 is available right now. Everybody can download and update the software. Don't forget, when you install the new software, don't forget to load the preset. The preset, it's very important, because in the preset, it has a lot of option on the preset. If you don't load the preset correctly, it's basically you overwrite the MSM. So the most important is to go to the printer and the vacuum fan. The vacuum fan always need to be high. However, if you like, however you like in the profile or setting, you always can go to save your preset. For example, I can save all my preset, all my information with the transparency or without the transparency, select all, okay? Or you can create a new preset, select all, and then test, for example. Test 1, 2, 3. Okay, now I have the setup as a preset 1, 2, 3. And if I click set default, okay, every file I bring new to, every new file I bring, it will be as a preset 1, 2, 3. You can see right over here. Hold on. So we can go right over here, set as a default, set default jobs properties, and you can set it up as a test 1, 2, 3. Like right on my screen. Okay. Let's grab a file. And basically, this is the preset. Every file will come on is basically will be with my new preset. So again, we go back to open the file. We'll go again, with a vacuum, that is the most important, and this is why most of the people has a head strike is the vacuum. The vacuum actually pull the media down, and then the print is free for the print head to move left and right. Okay, now we're going to run some answer for Q&A. And again, this is the first webinar, and I know everybody busy today, so free to ask any questions so we can answer. And next week we will have another webinar. We will email with a date. Okay, right away.
All right, guys, this is Elliot again. Yeah, let's go over some of these questions real quick. Let me scroll up. What's up? What's up? What's up? Let's see here. Okay. Yeah. Hey, Al, you're still going to remove, if you're removing the bag and plugging it in, as long as you're not being like, rough with it and stuff, we still recommend changing the nozzle out there, whenever you're replacing the bag for a new bag. Obviously, if you're seeing that there's any like excess leakage, from removing that bag, shaking it, and putting it back in, then of course replace the nozzles. They do come with their own extra nozzle whenever you order a bag, so you just be sure to use those when you do get them. Now I know there's going to be questions regarding that. We do have a video on how to replace it. I believe it's on the website. If not, I will get that uploaded. But here, let me show you real quick. 1 second. Yep. Share screen. Let's see. So you would go to the STS website, and then right over here, when you hover over this, you click down, and it's going to be under Maintenance Guides and Resources. And this is on the STS website. And then once you click here, it's going to pull out everything. So we have, how to wet cap. At the end of the night, obviously you want to wet cap your printer, or if you're, gone for the weekend, wet cap your printer. Make sure you're always wet capping when you're done with your jobs. But yeah, we have lots of resources here. I believe we also have, empty waste, inside cleaning. Let me see. So yeah, I see that. I do not see that here. Not the wet cap, the replacing the nozzle. But that's fine. I'll get that added. We'll get that added today and make sure that we have it. Yep. So let me go back here. Okay, let me pull up questions. I already saw this. Already saw that. Yeah, so you should have received, so what are you going to clean the area around the nozzle with, essentially? So let's say you're replacing the nozzle in your high capacity cartridge because you're putting in a new bag. And like I said, we're going to get a video on that. But basically, you're going to, when you remove the nozzle, you put in the new one, you're going to want to make sure that area is clean. You should have received a little cleaning bottle of DTF cleaning solution and swabs. What you could basically do, you don't have to use the swabs. You could use, napkins or whatever. The swabs I mostly use for the inside of the printer. But basically, you're going to want to just get that area nice and clean because obviously if it's caked up, it could cause some issues. So, get it nice and clean, spray it down, and then replace the nozzle and you're good to go. Let's see. So you could definitely use, so can I use white can I use bags for white and cartridges for others? You could definitely do that. Although I do recommend to just use the high capacity bag system, as it's just going to save you some trouble. Because the 220 cartridges, they will do the job for sure. But obviously you're going to have much more longevity with the bag system. One second, let me look over here.
Shouldn't have to change the needle on the back. We have to do it.
Gotcha. And you know what? Here, let me pull off one of these bags here, because I see it's a recurring question. And we'll go over replacing the nipple here. So 1 second. Let me see. Can I get that down? Okay, cool. Perfect. All right. So essentially, I don't know if you can see it right here. So this is going to be the area, and this is going to be for nozzle replacement here. Let me grab the nozzles real quick. Yep. So every bag, or rather with every card that comes with your bag, there's going to be a card on your bag. It's going to come with one of these little grommets here. Okay. And basically this little piece is within this section right here. So you can see that, you know, it's a little bit dirty over here, but essentially we're going to clean it up. We're going to make sure that's nice and clean, the area around it. We're going to make sure nothing's caked up. And then inside the bay as well, we're going to make sure that that's nice and clean in the front. So, you know, clean it up. It'll get, you know, nice and dirty. Here, let me grab something to remove this nozzle. Oh, perfect. And well, let me grab a napkin real quick. All right, so let's come back over here. And essentially this piece right here is going to keep this, you know, the pressure locked. So you're going to remove it. So you puncture it. All right. And when you remove that nozzle piece, you're going to grab your other nozzle piece and you're going to place that in there. Now, when you're placing that in there, you're going to want to hold this and then push on it to get it in there nice and tight. And once it's nice and tight, you let go and you push it down back into there. And you're basically good to go. You're ready to put the bag back in. Now, you would have taken this bag out, obviously, and put another bag in, you know, and then went to go do this. But essentially, that's how you replace the nozzle. And we're also going to have another it'll be a better video than this. This is obviously makeshift, but we'll have that video posted on the website and on our YouTube channel. And then I got to clean this down in 1 second. You know, obviously make sure that, you know, if it gets caked up like this, you know, just take the time to clean it. You know, wipe it down. And as soon as it's good, then you're good to plug it back in. So now I'm plugging that back in. Let me come back over here.
Okay, so we logging to SAIcloud.com, username, email, and password. If you forget a password, just click forget password and you reset your password. When you click login, you have all the license for the Flexi SAI. So as you can see over here, this is the Flexi DTF edition. You click download, and basically the new build is 3760, and the 3760 you can go to make sure you update. So if you go to photo management, and you can go to help about, and you can see the build number. So this is the newest build number, and again we always continues updating the Flexi DTF Pro Edition, and basically download, and after download is about 1.2 gigabyte of update. After that, you just run it. Don't forget to copy your license your license number is right over here. In the end, after the installation, you copy that activation code, and basically you're ready to with the new Flexi. However, with the new Flexi is a new preset. Upload the preset, and let me close my Flexi. So after the installation, you can see a two icon right over here of the Flexi 2022. You run open file location. On the file location, you're going to search for preference manager right over here, double click. You go to import. When you import, go to the SAI folder. You will find a folder that's called STS preference. When you click on the preference, you click on that and you do open. And basically you say, are you ready to, you say yes, okay, to override it, yes. And then I don't want to load it again because mine is already set up. But we can do it, because the only what is the point, if you load the new preset, you will lose all your previous setting. Okay, you can see over here all your job and everything will you will lose all your setting. So basically, again, I will repeat it. I go to desktop, right click, open file location, preference manager, double click, import the file, go to the folder program file SAI Flexi DTF edition under STS preference, double click, and if you do yes, now all the preset, the new preset loading. If I go exit, and if I open again, you can see all basically is a clean database. It's the same thing if you see some issue with the Flexi, or you see crashing in the Flexi, or you have any issue, you always can go to the preset, load the new preset and get it, refresh the Flexi. Okay, so basically it's a two media clamp right over here, left and right. The left and right, you need to be under the media. As you can see how it's set up right over here. Can I see the camera again? Right over here. Show me the screen again. Okay. Here we go. This is the maximum zoom I can do. So basically, it's the media clamp. The media clamp not need to be in the middle. Okay, I see a lot of customer has the clamp in the media. Is actually right in the middle of the media. You need to be right and left. If you use 13-inch media or you're using 24-inch media, always need to gather the two media clamp to be one on the right, one on the left on top of the media. And you can see it's like a lip, okay? And we have the video instruction how to run it. Let's go to the next. So the question is, should the white be set as a spot color or under color, white and white option tab? It depends basically on the new Flexi 2022. We have a different option to run it. You can use a different setting as far as transparency. So I will share the screen again. It depends. Hold on one second. It depends. It depends on the file. So if I take a file, to example, this is ESP file, and I open the file, okay, and if I go to output channel preview, and I click on preview channel, and I can see the CMYK and the spot white. And you can see right now I have no spot white and no under color because it's not transparency file. The transparency file, okay, if I use under solid under, so basically everything what is pixelate, black, cyan, magenta, or yellow, or any color, any pixelate that is above 0.4 pixel, it will print under base white. And you can see when I move over here, now it will show me this, the under color, basically the spot. The spot color, the transparency, it's good. It's mostly good if your file been set up as a transparency, or you can set up your file as a transparency. To set up the file as transparency, you always create a transparency background. So, to example, if I don't want all the white to remove out, so I create transparency as a background. Click on that. Okay, and I'm going to change this one as a user transparency as a mask as before. And I can do similar for area for all color. I can do tolerance, okay? And if I go right over here, you can see the spot white come up. Even with the use transparency as a mask. So you can create your transparency from the SAI, or you can create it from your Adobe or from your Corel or any editor. It's the same thing when you like to open a file and, to example, you want to remove black or you want to remove red, or to example, if you print on black, why should you print black? So you can open a file, to example, right here. I open a file, and if I print on black shirts, I can double click, open transparency, and create transparency as a background. I can click on this, similar to all color, and basically I remove all the black. And it will not print no white and no black. It's basically what it does is take it as a transparency, and the background of the shirt will be the print. You will save some ink cost on that, and as well, if you can see right now, I didn't remove the background, so it takes the background as a white. So I go back to the same thing, to the transparency tab, shift click, and you can see over here, it will show you exactly Control Shift, or it show you the description how to do it, and shift click, and basically this is your image. So in click on the button, I basically remove the black and do transparency, the background transparency. Okay, I think we answer all the question. We inform you all the audience for the next presentation. Webinar is going to be next week. I think it's going to be next week. If you have any question we didn't answer, we didn't see, please email to support@STSinks.com, or you can reach your dealer. I know everybody has a lot of questions, but we're always here to support. And if you guys need anything, just reach us or reach your dealer support. Thank you so much for your attendance today. We'll be in touch. Thank you.